the Springfield Echelon or the Walther PDP Pro. Both of these are very different and they are both fantastic pistols. I absolutely love the shooting experience of both, but there's definitely more information you guys are going to need to know to make an informed buying decision. So in this video, I will give you guys everything you need to know about the Springfield Echelon and compare it to the Walther PDP Pro. So with all that said, let's dive in. All right, first things first is we have the Springfield Echelon, and this is their 4.0 compact comped version. Now, right off the bat, one of my favorite things about the Echelon is their adaptive grip texture. In this case, you get this very bitey kind of texture. If you really press into it, it's going to dig into your skin. It's not going to move around when you are sweating. However, it is not so abrasive that if you are carrying it all day, it's rubbing up against your skin, it's not going to be uncomfortable. And as compared to the Walther PDP Pro, they have a fantastic texture as well. And admittedly, this is probably one of the most ergonomic and comfortable pistols to hold that I have ever had the joy of shooting. In this case, the texture is really abrasive. The magwell helps push my hand up into the gun, and I feel like I can get a confident purchase on the firearm. So much so that you can even see kind of the texturing here on my hand. And I really love that because it means that when you are shooting, you're going to be able to control the muzzle flip a lot more. Now, as you can see, I have added a magwell here for my Springfield Echelon. This is from Floyd's Custom Shop, and of course, it is an add-on. It is not stock, and I do wish the Echelon had an included magwell. Now, I personally went with this because I like the little lip that is inside of there. Allows me to get this perfect grip on the firearm, pushes my hand up into the center of the frame, into the trigger well, and their magazine extended base plate here. This is their +2 option, allows me to get 15 +2 in a package that is almost the size as the flush fit magazines. Now moving along to the trigger, this is the Walther's Dynamic Performance trigger. It is a fantastic trigger. It is an upgrade from the original PDP design. It gives you a very short amount of travel. You hit the 90-degree wall right there, and then a very clean and pronounced break. In terms of reset, it throws you back to that 90-degree mark. It is forcible, and then another clean and crisp break. Now, as you guys may know, Walther has some of the best striker-fired triggers out on the market. I really love this one. It's fantastic, and that's partially why I've swapped out the Echelon to the Overwatch Precision trigger. In this case, you also will get a very short amount of take-up, much like the Walther, the 90-degree wall, and then a break. It is not as loud or audible of a break, and the reset is solid as well. It is short, but it's not near as audible as the Walther. Now, in terms of the overall trigger pull with the Springfield Echelon, looks like we broke just under around 4.5 pounds. Whereas with the Walther, we have closer to a 5-pound break. I can tell you, just from my own experience, the Walther does feel heavier. However, it is a very serviceable trigger. It is great. It's very crisp, and I think you guys will enjoy it a lot. Now, one downside to the Walther is going to be their optics mounting system. You do have to order plates directly from the manufacturer, or you can order them online. They do not have a direct optics system, much like the Echelon. In this case, I had to order one for the RMSC or the modified RMSC dot for the Echelon EPS. Whereas with the Echelon, they have their variable interface system, which allows you to direct mount up to 30 different optics directly to the Echelon. Regardless if it is a Delta Point Pro, if it's an RMSC, it's an RMR, does not matter, you can directly mount it to the Echelon. In this case, I have the Vortex Defender on here, and I absolutely love this. I love that Vortex has stepped up their red dot game. I've always been a huge fan of Vortex for sights, and so seeing them come a long way from their original red dots and conceal carry kind of line makes me very happy. Now, one thing that is very noticeable when you hold these two pistols side by side is just the fact that the Echelon does feel slimmer and it does feel easier to conceal. In this case, at the widest part of the barrel, it looks like we've got a 1.05 inch width, versus the Walther has a 1.12. However, when you look at these side by side, the Echelon definitely does look a little bit smaller. In terms of the back of the Walther, at the widest point for the grip, we are going to have a 1.34 inch grip. And with the Echelon, we have a 1.16. Now that may not seem like a huge difference, but of course, when you are concealed carrying, it absolutely does. The Walther does feel like a bulkier pistol. Now, one con that I will call out with the Walther is that even though this is an $800 gun, the original guide rod is made of plastic, which I feel like at this point definitely should not be the case, especially on the Pro line where they've swapped out, they've given you an upgraded trigger, they've given you a threaded barrel, they've given you magwell extended base plate. Swap out that guide rod, especially if you live in colder temperatures. If you want the best reliability, I think a stainless steel guide rod is going to be better than plastic. In this case, that is absolutely true for the Echelon as well. However, this pistol can typically be found for around $200 cheaper. Now, in terms of flashlight mounting options, both of these have a 1913 Picatinny rail. So you're gonna have a plethora of flashlights to choose from. I could take this Olight PLX, put it on the Walther. I could take what is on the Walther, which is the Streamlight TLR 7X, and I could put it on the Echelon. Now, in terms of shootability, the Walther is actually a hair snappier than the Echelon. Of course, at a certain point, you're just splitting hairs, but I definitely do think the comp absolutely makes a difference when shooting the Echelon. You guys can see in this footage overlay, there is a difference, especially side by side, when comparing these two guns. That's not to say that the Walther is bad to shoot. I will definitely disagree with that. I think it is a great shooting pistol. I think the grip and the way I'm able to control this firearm is incredibly comfortable, and I do feel like I'm able to shoot it incredibly fast, just given how compact it is, the grip texture, the trigger on it, the magwell pushing my fingers up into the grip. All of it is a really fantastic shooting experience from the Walther. Now, in terms of concealability, as I've already mentioned, this is a bigger pistol. This is the Covert holster from TXC Holster. They are probably my favorite holster company. They're incredibly well made, and they have a little wedge here that allows you to very comfortably get your hand inside of your waistband, pull out the firearm, and then you are ready to draw from concealment. They also have a wedge that's built in, which I find much more comfortable than a foam wedge. And then back here, you have your discreet carry clips, and they have this unique proprietary piece, which is their Helix wedge. If you guys can see this here, it is canted. It allows that butt of the gun to push back into your gut, much like a concealment wing would, but you don't have the added bulk. And this is the inside waistband holster from Insane Kydex. Now this one is specifically made for the Olight PLX, which I was a little limited. TXC does not make this specific holster for this specific light, and I really like it, so I ordered this from Insane Kydex. And I will say, the quality is really nice, but it is not my favorite holster. Specifically, I feel like because it is a light bearing holster, there is a lot of retention up here on the slide, and there definitely should not be. I don't know how well you guys can see this here, but there's a lot of residue that builds up on this gun, a lot of friction points when it should be on the actual light. Past that, I do find that right here is a very uncomfortable ledge. Your hand kind of rubs up against it. It is a sharp corner. I will say that this holster looks super cool, and the FDE topo looks really awesome. The discreet carry clips are fantastic, and the wing absolutely does its job, helps push the butt of the gun into my side. And during the winter, I have zero issues concealing this gun, or darn near any gun for that matter. I also have another holster coming from Slim Fit Holsters just to compare the two and see if I like it any better. Now, one final comparison is I do have the full-size Echelon right here, and in this case, I actually think it feels very similar to the compact PDP Pro. Now, of course, the grip is just a little bit longer here. It's gonna have a bigger frame. It's a 4.5-inch barrel, but the Walther PDP Pro is as well because you have this threaded barrel. I think both of these pistols are fantastic. I love the slide stop here on the Walther. I feel like it is much easier to hold down, but one con there is when you're gripping the pistol, it is one that I push down with my grip. Whereas with the Walther, it is very discreet. It's kind of pressed in there, and I don't find that I accidentally hold it down near as often. Ultimately, my verdict is if you want a pistol that is fantastic out of the box, you do not have to do any updates to it. Get the Walther PDP Pro. It is spectacular. You're going to have an updated trigger. You're going to have a flared magwell, extended base plates. You're going to be able to order an optics plate. and a threaded barrel direct from the manufacturer. If you want to upgrade a gun and have a little bit more versatility, I think the Echelon's a spectacular option. I love this gun, especially with the Overwatch precision trigger and the Floyd's Custom Shop magwell. The variable interface optics mounting system is great, and the compensator definitely does its job. This is probably one of the most enjoyable compacts I've ever shot. The reciprocating mass goes straight back, especially because of that comp. It is able to get back on target very quickly, and overall, it's an awesome package. Now, I've personally chosen to update mine, add some few upgrades, but you don't have to. However, I think it becomes a more premium platform once you do start to make those upgrades versus the Walther, which is a premium package right out of the box. So let me know what you guys think, which one is ultimately right for you. And watch this next video here where I compare the Springfield Echelon to the Ruger RXM.